Hello children, today we'll be doing the lesson The Great Stone Face. Now this lesson is divided into two chapters in your book, The Great Stone Face 1 and The Great Stone Face 2. The story is written by Nathaniel Hawthorne, who was an American novelist and a short story writer. His works are based on moral values and religion. In the story, he describes about a young boy named Ernest and how he grew up to be a young, kind, intelligent man. For your convenience, the story is divided into 3 modules. The first module is from the beginning of the lesson to the end of the first paragraph on page number 126. The second module is from the beginning of the second paragraph on page number 126 to the end of fourth paragraph on page number 127. The third module is from the last paragraph on page number 127 till the end of the lesson. So can we start the lesson, children? I will be reading one paragraph and then I will explain that paragraph. As I read the lesson, I expect you all to read it along with me. Okay? So let's start the lesson, children. The Great Stone Face 1. Seen from a distance, hilltops and huge rocks seem to assume various shapes. They may resemble an animal or a human figure. People attribute stories to these shapes. Some stories come true, others don't. The Great Stone Face is one such shape that reminds the inhabitants of the valley of a prophecy. What was it? Did it come true? So the story is about a young boy named Ernest and also about the Great Stone Face. The people living in this valley, from a distance they could see the hilltops and huge rocks on it. Some rocks were arranged in such a way that it looked like a human face. The word inhabitants means the people living in that area. The word prophecy means a statement that tells what will happen in the future, somewhat predicting the future. So now the first paragraph. One afternoon, when the sun was going down, a mother and her little boy sat at the door of their cottage talking about the Great Stone Face. They had only to lift their eyes, and there it was, plain to be seen, though miles away, with the sunshine brightening all its features. So it was an afternoon time, somewhat towards the evening. When the sun was going down means evening time, towards sunset. A mother was sitting with her little boy at the door of their house, and they were talking about the Great Stone Face. They just had to lift their eyes and they could see the huge Great Stone Face there. Though it was very far away, they felt that the sunshine was making this Great Stone Face look very bright. Now, what is actually this Great Stone Face, children? Let's see the next paragraph. And what was the Great Stone Face? The Great Stone Face was a work of nature, formed on the perpendicular side of a mountain by some immense rocks, which had been thrown together so that, when viewed at a proper distance, they resemble the features of a human face. If the spectator approached too near, he lost the outline of the enormous face and could see only a heap of gigantic rocks, piled one upon another. But seen from a distance, the clouds clustering about it, the great stone face seemed positively to be alive. It was the belief of many people that the valley owed much of its fertility to the benign face that was continually beaming over it. The words work of nature means a natural gift, something which is made naturally. Immense means very big, huge. Resembled means to look alike. Spectator means an onlooker or a watcher. The word enormous means big or huge. Gigantic also means the same thing, children. Huge, very big. Benign means very kind or gentle. Benign face means that great stone face had a very kind, gentle, loving face. So this great stone face was actually the work of nature. It was a natural gift to those people living in that valley. It was formed on the side of a mountain by huge rocks. Those rocks were arranged in such a way that it resembled or looked like a human face. If anybody came too near to this mountainside, then they couldn't make out this face. They could only see the huge rocks there. But from a distance, these stones were arranged in such a way that it felt like it was a human face, a very kind, loving human face. That face looked very much alive, as if it had life. The people living in that valley believed that this face was actually a blessing to them. The land was fertile, and people were very happy with this face. It looked as if the face was protecting them. Now, the next paragraph. A mother and her little boy, as we said earlier, sat at the door of their cottage, gazing at the great stone face and talking about it. The child's name was Ernest. So in the beginning of the story, we saw how a mother and a child were sitting near the door and they were watching or looking at this great stone face. The name of that boy was Ernest. He was a small boy. Now the next paragraph. Mother, said he, while the great stone face smiled on him, I wish that it could speak, for it looks so very kindly that its voice must indeed be pleasant. If I ever see a man with such a face, I should love him very much. So the child was very happy to see that great stone face. He tells his mother that the face looked so kind, so gentle. He wished that this stone face could speak, and he was very sure that the voice would indeed be pleasant. He feels that if he ever could see a man with such a face which would resemble this great stone face, this boy named Ernest would love him very much. So the mother listens to this boy, and let's see what she says. Now, the next paragraph. If an old prophecy should come to pass, answered his mother, we may see a man sometime with exactly such a face as that. What prophecy do you mean, dear mother? Eagerly inquired Ernest. Please tell me about it. So mother listened to this boy, and then she says that if an old prophecy would come true, should come to pass means if a prophecy comes true. And now, what is prophecy? Prophecy means a statement which tells you about the future, to predict the future. So there was an old prophecy, and if at all it comes true, then maybe they could see a man with this face only, the face which would resemble the great stone face. The child becomes very curious to know about it. So let's see what he says. "What prophecy do you mean, dear mother?" eagerly inquired Ernest. "Please tell me about it." He was so happy, so curious to know about this prophecy. So he eagerly asked his mother, "What prophecy are you talking about? Can you please tell me about it?" Now, the next paragraph. So his mother told him a story that her own mother had told her when she herself was younger than little Ernest, that at some future day a child should be born near here who was destined to become the greatest and the noblest person of his time, and whose face in manhood should bear an exact resemblance to the great stone face. Many still had faith in this old prophecy, but others took it to be nothing but idle talk. All the events, the great man of the prophecy had not yet appeared. At all events, the great man of the prophecy had not yet appeared. So then mother tells him about a prophecy which her own mother had said when she was a young girl. The prophecy was like this, children. In future, someday, maybe a child would be born either in that valley or nearby area who would become a very great, noble, a very famous man. And that person's face would resemble to this great stone face when that person would become a man. Which means in manhood, that person's face would bear an exact resemblance to the great stone face. That man would look like this great stone face. Many people believed that this prophecy would come true. But then there were many who did not believe also. They just thought that it was an idle talk. An idle talk means to talk simply, children. We sit and gossip, isn't it? So they thought it was just an idle talk, something which may not happen. Because at all the events, for so many years, this prophecy had never come true, and no person with whose face resembles this great stone face had yet come. Ernest was very happy to listen to this. See what he tells his mother. "Oh, mother," cried Ernest, clapping his hands above his head, "I do hope that I shall live to see him." His mother was an affectionate and thoughtful woman. It was proper, she thought, not to discourage the fanciful hopes of her little boy. So she said to him, "Perhaps you may." The word affectionate means very loving. Fanciful means to overthink about something or over imagine something. Now Ernest was so happy to hear this prophecy. So he thought maybe he can also meet this person whose face would resemble to this great stone face. So he tells his mother that he hopes that he would live to see this great man. His mother was a very loving, caring, and a very thoughtful lady. She didn't want to disappoint or discourage this child. So what she said was that she agreed. She affectionately said that, "Yes, maybe you will live to see this man." She didn't want to disappoint this boy children. Any other mother could have said no. It is just a story. Don't believe. How will you live to see this person and all? But no, she didn't say that. She wanted this boy to grow up with a positive attitude. So she said, maybe you will live to see this person. And Ernest was very happy. So he continues to live in this valley, to grow up from a young boy to a big adult. But we always had a wish or a desire to meet the person who would resemble to this great stone face. Now, I come to the end of the first module, children. Thank you.